Welcome back to Model Rockets 321. This is a project I'm going to be starting real soon. It's the Black Brant X. It's a Canadian sounding rocket. I'm building it kind of with a minimum diameter, 24 millimeter diameter, which is a BT50, which is the size of a SD's-D engine width. It'll fit inside of this rocket. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not, because I know with the heat and with it being the same width, sometimes it bubbles up and it melts the paint. So I'm still thinking about that. Or it may just be a standard 18 millimeter. And that'll fit like the ABC engines and the reloads, the 18 millimeter reloads by Aerotech. Because I want this to be a high altitude rocket, because I want to fly the Altimeter 2 by Jolly Logic. I gotta get a battery for this, but I just want to do some tracking and do some experimenting with it. So I'll put this inside the payload section, which this rocket will have. It's going to have a fairly large payload section because I had to split the tube up. This one will go here, and then I'll have this part here. So this is a pretty big payload, so I'll probably do some kind of rivet system or something to be able to get in and out of here. So I'm going to have like I said, a nice payload section. Like I said, it's BT50, 4 fins on the bottom, and 4 little tiny fins around at the base of the payload section, like that. So this will be the next build that I'm going to work on. I also have a Saturn SA7 model kit that I can 3D print it by Boyce Aerospace that I can start also, but I'm going to probably finish this one first. So I'll come back to you with more of the build process. Probably won't be a full build, but I will show you some of what I do to get the rockets, to get them, where I like them. So this is a launch lug. I'm going to cut this and make it really small to keep everything light. Probably it'll be 2 small pieces. Fins are also, I'm going to sand those and get those really nice. And body tube, I'll fill the spirals on all that stuff. So it shouldn't be too difficult of a build. It's just going to be the top part, not the booster. It's just going to be the sustainer rather. Just that, what you see there. Top portion, this is silver, black, silver, brown on these fins around here. And here it says fluorescent red and black. I always saw regular red. People use regular red a lot, but I'll try to find some fluorescent red, which should be fairly easy to find. I'll mask this off and do that. And the fins are black. Yeah, it should come out pretty nice. Should be a pretty cool rocket. Here I have Kevlar and a piece of elastic. I may switch this out for all Kevlar. Sometimes this elastic, when you use this and on ejection, it'll snap back and hit the rocket. I've had that happen, but this might be long enough. I'll see. I'll check that out. That'll be later on though. And it'll be parachute recovery, so I'll have to get a parachute for it. I have some stuff, but so I may do that, and that's about it. So if I go 24 millimeter, like I said, this will fit right in, but the heat that can cause bubbling on the paint, so I'm really leaning towards just doing a standard 18 millimeter motor. Got an engine block here, and just doing something that's a little bit smaller so that heat don't destroy the body, since I like them. I like the rocket's pretty nice, but So I got quite a bit of this rocket built already. I got the top portion done. I added the fins. Nothing's been sanded down. The spirals, I didn't do any of that work yet, but I have all the fins added. I got the launch lug, and the engine mount is in. So I went with the 18 millimeter. I want this to be high altitude. I have metal casing for the Aerotech reloads, and I have some of the engines. They're like D13 W7s and W4s I have. So delays are 4 and a 7 delay on them. So it'll also fly on I have an SD's engine somewhere, a regular 18 millimeter A, B, C, or D engine. So yeah, it's moving along pretty good. I'm going to leave like the payload bay here. I'm going to build some kind of pivot system where I can slide in and lock it in place. Not pivot. I'm saying the wrong thing. Like a rivet system where I can slide this in and lock it in place, or I can just use a pin like this. These are removable rivets. I might use one of these, or I'm looking at this little nail here. I can rig something where this part right here will slide into and lock, and I can remove the altimeter, which I'm gonna use the Jolly Logic as I showed earlier. So yeah, it went along pretty good. All 4 fins are on there good. Just got to do my filling and sanding the wood, and it should be pretty good once I get that done. Launch lug, I cut them down. These are wider. I think they're like 3/16 maybe for my big launch pad, because I don't like to bring too many launch pads to some of the launches, because I have like 2 or 3 pads. And yeah, so it's going along pretty good. Everything's fits pretty well. You can see the 4 fins there and the 4 fins on the bottom, and I'm making that right there. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Here's the 18mm engine, the Estes. I really appreciate if you guys will like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the like button for me, please. Want to build this channel up, bring you guys some model rocket stuff, some builds and some launches. I'm still planning on launching the Saturn SA5, Saturn 1 SA5. I'm looking at some launch dates, and I'm waiting on it to cool down a little bit more here in AZ before we go, because it will be a morning launch, but it gets hot really quick. And even though it's September, I'm still waiting on it to cool off a little more. And then I'll go out and film that and film some other rockets, and that's what we're going to do. So this is the dirty part of the job, filling all the spirals and filling the wood fins with the wood filler. I'm using this stuff by DAP right here. I had to cut the top open because it got dry, but I had water, brought it back to life. So I'm using this DAP wood filler. I'm filling in all the spirals, and I'm doing the wood, and that's where I'm at right now. This is the dirty part of the job. I'm pretty sure if you build, you don't have to do it, it's usually optional, but if you want really smooth fins, you want them to look like one seamless part without seeing wood grain, it's good to fill them and sand down all the, sand it, and repeat as needed. Like, I put a heavy amount of filler on the initial part, so let me see how it looks once I sand all this down. You got to sand all the fins. I use like I forget what grit this is. 220. This is a 220 grit. I probably could use something a little heavier, but you don't want to go down into the wood. So that's what's going on right now. So I'll sand all these surfaces of all the fins to get them really smooth, and I will repeat this until all the grooves are filled rather. And this is, like I said, the dirty part of the job. The powder gets everywhere. It's good to wear a mask, like a particulate dust mask. So just spend time sanding these. This is getting close. So this is the Black Brant X, as you know. And I will continue. All the wood has been filled, and all the spirals have been filled and sanded. The fins, I'm going to use this primer here. I'm going to get the whole body, the whole rocket sprayed with the primer, and I will sand it again. I will look for more gaps that may need to be filled with the filler again. I also still have to work out the payload bay with the little rivet system, because I want this to be able to be removed, like push in and slide or turn to lock it in place. Or I may put it up here on the cone. So this is the bay. This is another open section. Depending on how I do it, I could possibly use a rivet here, something removable, so I have a bigger compartment to carry stuff. But yeah, I'll see what I'm gonna do as far as the payload section. And like I said, there's more sanding and filling to do. So it came out pretty well. Came out pretty good. These are pretty smooth, but like I said, I'm gonna still spray it with the primer so I can have a closer look and see if there's any more gaps. Because sometimes doing this is hard to see. Now, I know there's some rough patches, so I'll prime, fill again, sand, and probably prime again. And I use oversized launch lugs because I'm going to launch on my big pad. I think I mentioned that on that part. So that's where it is right now. Rocket all prepared and ready for its first coat of primer. So this is the way I get rockets ready to paint. I'll fashion something like this. This is a clothes hanger, like a metal wire one. And every area that has to slide into another, I will cover with tape. So I covered up this shoulder piece that slides into the main rocket. I covered that with tape. So this is not a huge issue. I made sure these are in tight though. I did put tape on these little shoulders and inside so they stay while I hold it upside down and stuff. And on inside the cone, there's tape on this shoulder that slides in. Excuse me. So that's this part ready to go. And for the section that will hold the motor, I put put paper inside of here, and also attach this. I'm going to tape this part to this paper so it stays and don't slide out. Also, inside the launch lugs, you should always put paper or tape or something inside, because you don't want paint inside the launch lugs. You want them to slide freely without paint. And same for the front, I put paper inside where this piece will slide in here. You don't want any paint inside the rocket because you want everything to fit perfectly. So this is all ready for its first coat of primer. I'm gonna do that, and we'll continue. So here I have the rocket all primered, and they're just hanging here. Just let everything dry really good, and then I'm gonna go and do the first sanding. And I can already see some spots that need to be filled, so I'm gonna sand and fill those grooves and rough marks. So here I am filling some of the spiral again, using a wood filler. Just looking for any areas that I can fill. The fins have a few areas spiral. It's either Simrock tubes, which are usually pretty good. I'll just rub some into this groove. This should take care of it. It should go right here. This is kind of drying up. I need some more actually. I need to get some more wood filler. It's kind of drying out. And you can also add water to it. Put a little bit in a little small cup or a lid or something, and add water. You can get a nice texture to it. I'm gonna scrape away a lot because I don't want to have to sand like forever, just to get it. So I began to mask and paint. I laid down the first layer of the bright, it says fluorescent red. These instructions I have were actually on these plans that were in Rockets of the World. I had one rocket where it was just regular red, but I did this fluorescent red orange, it's called. So it looks more on the oranger side to me, but I went on and I did it. So next I'm going to mask off part of the fluorescent to get the black checker pattern. It's supposed to be quadrants. So I'm going to use blue masking tape, and I'm going to have to cut that very carefully, get it lined up, and make the patterns as it shows in the picture here. It's going to be a fluorescent red there, and a red there, black here, quadrant. So it'll be in groups of 4. So that's this section, and I will do the fins. They will be done in black also, so I'll leave them exposed. That's why I only did part of it. I don't need to paint the whole thing, just I left part of it open with the primer. That's primer there. I'm going to do these quadrant roll patterns. I'm going to mask off the black and the black on the lower part and the black on the upper part. I'm going to make strips using masking tape. They measure 3.5 by 1.5, and this one measures 4 7/8 by 1.5 length. So that's the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to tape masking tape. I'm going to use this blue masking tape. I'm going to tape it to a sheet of, this is photo paper. I have some of these around, just blank sheets of photo paper. Use the glossy side so it won't take away a lot of the tackiness. This tape isn't too sticky, so it'll work out perfect. I can stick it on here, and I'm going to get my cross measurement, which was the 1.5. It's 1.5 wide. These measure, this is 1-inch masking tape, so I'll have to add another piece, and I'm going to layer it over top of here. Then I'm just going to cut the size that I need off of here. And then I'll use this sheet for the other one. So I'm doing this. And finally, all the paint is complete. The rocket is pretty much complete minus recovery system. I did the brown around that fin can. You can see there. Add the decal right around here. That's just this black 3M decal tape I use. This is the payload section. It's all painted silver, so this whole section is payload, but I think I'm gonna use just the top portion to carry an altimeter by Jolly Logic. This is the lower section. There was some, this is not a great, one of my best jobs. You can see here I had some spray over. And one technique you can use is you can use your X-Acto and you can scrape the light mist and make it a little more neat, but it will mar the paint a little bit. So I may just leave that. Like I said, I had that. It went under the tape, just some mist. The tape just wouldn't stick. I was using this blue with Brant. This is 3M. It's actually 3M, and it didn't stick that well this time. I was trying to push it down. I went and I retaped it or remasked it, and it was still doing the same. Yeah, it just came out pretty nice. Overall, it's a decent job. It's not one of my greats, but it is pretty nice looking rocket. And if you put I'll show you the whole top. I'm not on tripod right now, so if you put that portion on there, this is how it looks. So it's pretty cool. Came out pretty nice. Silver section, quadrants, and 18mm. And I'm planning on flying on 18 reloads, and then the regular Estes black powder motors. These are composite reload motors. They'll send it way up there. So overall, nice looking rocket. You know, I'm happy with it overall. Something that a good flyer for some little research experiments or whatever I wanted to do. Let me move back, let you take a look. This is the Black Brant X Canadian sounding rocket, and it's flown with a booster. It's the Terrier booster, which I'm just flying it single stage like this. And I probably could build a booster. I have to see where the inside of my launch lugs, I always block that off so you don't get paint in the inside of here. That's why it's brown. This one here, I didn't pull the tape and the paper out of this lower lug. And I went with the bigger one because I'm going to use my bigger launch pad. I guess that's the 1/4 or 3/8 inch launch lug size. So overall, decent job. Like I said, this little part here, I do not like that much. So I may be fixing this section. I may mask that black and then mask the whole thing off and just spray this again with the fluorescent red orange. But other than that, came out to be a decent looking, actually a pretty nice looking rocket. It'll sit alongside the others, I guess. But yeah, so let me pull this top off of here. Lay everything back down. So there you have it. Inside here I have just shot cord and everything's in here. I use Kevlar with a piece of plastic. I should have went with all Kevlar, but I didn't have that much. Anyway, there you have it. Thanks for watching. Model Rockets 321. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more. And stay tuned for the launch of a few rockets.